Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube were suddenly illegal for anyone under the age of 16. That means no scrolling, no posting, no endless videos, no late night messages. Now, for millions of teenagers, for most teenagers, that would sound horrific, terrible, a nightmare. But this is exactly what is beginning to happen in many parts of the world. Governments are introducing some of the strictest internet laws ever seen. They argue that social media is damaging, harming children's mental health, fueling addiction, making addiction worse, adding to addiction, fueling addiction, and exposing young people to strangers and making childhood more stressful than ever before. Obviously, there are two sides to the story. Supporters say these bans are long overdue. They should have been implemented a long time ago. Critics say governments are overreacting and taking away freedoms. So who's right? And are we witnessing the beginning of the biggest change to the internet since social media first exploded onto the scene? Let's find out. First, hello, welcome. This is Listen Global English. I'm Gary, British. I've been living and teaching English in Colombia since 2010, 16 years, always using this methodology. And today we're looking at one of the most controversial issues facing parents and educators and governments and technology companies around the world. Should children under 16 be banned from social media? Now, as always, we'll explore the story. We'll explain the key vocabulary can help you improve your English along the way. So, for years, most social media companies officially required users to be at least 13 years old. In reality, millions of younger children simply signed up anyway, simply enrolled anyway, simply joined, signed up anyway. Governments increasingly believe that social media companies have failed to enforce their own rules. In Australia became the first country to introduce a nationwide minimum age of 16 for many major social media platforms. And similar measures are now being considered or developed in several other countries, including the United Kingdom, the UK, and nations across Europe. And the UAE in the Middle East has recently introduced a minimum social media age of 15, along with strict age verification requirements. When we talk about nationwide, we mean affecting an entire country. So, for example, you could hear the government launched a nationwide campaign to improve literacy. Enforce means to make sure rules are obeyed. The police, for example, they enforce traffic laws. So why are governments doing this? Well, there's three major concerns. The first is mental health. Many researchers and policymakers, they worry that social media can contribute to anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, and loneliness among young people. Children constantly compare themselves with carefully edited images and videos. Many feel pressure to look perfect. Others worry about missing out on events or trends or even friendships. This phenomenon, this missing out, is often called FOMO, F-O-M-O. This is the fear of missing out, FOMO. You might hear, he went to the party because of FOMO, just because of FOMO, fear of missing out. We often say to keep up with the Joneses. This is to constantly compare yourself with other people and try to match their lifestyle. For years we've said things like, he's just keeping up with the Joneses. That's why he's bought a new car. He's just keeping up with the Joneses. And that's a little bit like FOMO, fear of missing out. To constantly compare yourself with other people and try to match their lifestyle. Now, many critics, they argue that social media platforms are deliberately designed to keep users scrolling. Infinite feeds, notifications, recommendations, and short videos. These all encourage users to spend more time online. This attracts advertisers. So there's a phrasal verb here, to hook someone on something. It means to make someone become dependent on something, to hook someone. For instance, you could hear, some experts believe social media is designed to hook users on constant engagement. Engagement is just another word for interaction with content. Likes, comments, and shares increase engagement, interaction with content. Now, parents and governments, they also worry about children interacting with unknown adults online. Although most interactions are harmless, there are concerns today about scams, grooming, harassment, and manipulation in general. When we talk about grooming, this is when an adult gradually gains a child's trust for harmful purposes. You could hear many child protection organizations focus on preventing online grooming. Now, there's an argument from supporters here. Those who support the bans, they believe governments must step in. That's a phrasal verb, to step in. It means to become involved in order to help solve a problem. For example, the government stepped in after public concern increased. Supporters argue that children are not yet mature enough to handle powerful algorithms and endless streams of content. They compare social media restrictions to laws involving alcohol or cigarettes or gambling. Their argument is simple. If society restricts other activities that may harm young people, why should social media be different? There's an idiom here that's often used. We say better safe than sorry. That just means it's wiser to prevent problems than deal with them later. Many parents support the ban because they believe it's better safe than sorry. Now, the critics' argument goes like this, and not everyone agrees with this. Many experts believe the situation is far more complicated. They argue that social media also offers benefits. Young people can stay connected with friends, they can learn new skills, they can find communities where they feel accepted or safe. For some teenagers, social media helps reduce feelings of isolation. And critics also question whether bans will actually work. There's a phrasal verb here, to get around something. To get around means to find a way to avoid a rule. And many teenagers may try to get around age restrictions. Some experts suspect that children will simply create fake accounts or use other technologies to bypass restrictions. By bypass, we just mean to avoid a rule or an obstacle. As an example, you might hear users sometimes bypass restrictions using technology. And there is a technology problem here. Even if governments create laws, enforcing them is difficult. How can a company know whether a user is really 15 or 16? Many companies are exploring age verification systems that may require identity checks. However, critics worry about privacy and data security. This creates what we call a difficult balancing act. A balancing act is a situation where competing priorities must be carefully managed. For example, you could say, protecting children while respecting privacy is a balancing act, a difficult balancing act. On the business side, social media companies face a major challenge here. Younger users represent a huge audience. If millions of children leave these platforms, advertising revenues will be affected. However, companies also face pressure from governments and parents to improve safety. They are what we call caught between a rock and a hard place. This means they are facing two difficult choices. Social media companies are caught between a rock and a hard place. They are facing two difficult choices. So what does the future look like? Well, the trend is clear. There's no debate. More governments are considering stricter rules for children online. Australia has already implemented restrictions, and several European countries and the UK are moving in a similar direction. But important questions remain here. Will these bans improve mental health? Will they reduce addiction? Will children simply move to different platforms? Will governments be able to enforce the rules effectively? At the moment, nobody knows for certain. Nobody knows for certain. What we do know is that the relationship between young people and technology is changing rapidly, and the decisions being made today could shape an entire generation's digital future. So you heard a few phrasal verbs there. We heard to step in. This is to become involved, to solve a problem. The government stepped in. To hook someone on. This is to make someone become dependent on something. Short videos can hook users on endless scrolling. To get around something is to avoid a rule or an obstacle. Teenagers may get around restrictions. When we cut back on something, we are talking about reducing the amount of something. Many families want children to cut back on screen time. They want them to log off, to disconnect from an online service. Some schools encourage students to log off before classes. We heard better safe than sorry. That's to take precautions now. Don't wait for the problem to arise. Better safe than sorry. Keeping up with the Joneses? This is just comparing yourself with others. Caught between a rock and a hard place. Facing two difficult options. Now you might hear, in one of our previous podcasts recently, we talked about a double-edged sword, and that applies here. A double-edged sword is something that has both benefits and disadvantages. And social media can be a double-edged sword. There's another expression you might hear. Open a can of worms. That's to create a complicated problem. The age verification debate has opened a can of worms. So a final thought, social media has transformed the way young people communicate, the way they learn, and the way they socialize. But as concerns about mental health, addiction, and online safety continue to grow, governments around the world are increasingly willing to challenge the power of technology companies. Whether these bans succeed or fail remains to be seen. That means it's not certain. But one thing is certain. The debate about children and social media is only just beginning, and the outcome could shape the future of childhood itself. That's everything for today. Thank you for listening to Listen Global English. Until next time, keep learning, keep listening, and keep improving your English. Bye-bye for now.